What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Anime J back with another video for you. I have been watching One Piece and doing my best to absorb all the information that has been thrown at me, and let me tell you there has been a lot within these recent episodes. And to start off with, we're going to go with the introduction of Whitebeard, who is said to be the strongest pirate alive. He is to be feared, and quite frankly, the guy is huge. I don't know why they made him so big, but they just felt a need to make the guy just the biggest character I've ever seen in One Piece so far. Next, we had the fight between Bellamy and Luffy, and before this fight, Luffy and Zoro got into it with Bellamy and his goons at a bar, and they beat them up pretty badly. Luffy and Zoro were trying to take a stand, prove a point, and now Luffy has a chance to prove and show Bellamy really what he can do. It was a good placeholder fight. There haven't been any big fights since the Crocodile fight, so I guess they wanted to keep us entertained with this. I felt it was good. Bellamy has some nice powers. He has the spring fruit, which he uses to bounce around and make things difficult for his opponents. But ultimately, this was just another display of Luffy's power, his tenacity, and just how upset he gets when you mess with his friends and his possessions. I mean, the guy went ahead and gave Bellamy the punch from hell. I mean, look at this, guys. This is like, ouch. That's gotta hurt, and not something that Bellamy is gonna forget anytime soon. Shortly after the run-in with Bellamy, we are introduced to two additional warlords of the sea. One of them named is Don Flamingo, and the other one is Bartholomew Kuma. Don't quote me there, it's a mouthful, but these are obviously going to be two significant players in the series. Don Flamingo seems to have some type of power where he can control people. He was making two officials fight against their will when he first got to the meeting, just to cause some ruckus, just to let him know he was there. We also meet someone by the name of Lafitte, and it turns out that Lafitte is part of a bigger crew, which is called the Blackbeard Pirates, and they, I assume, are going to play even a bigger role. Maybe bigger than the 7 warlords that we're being introduced to. I'm not sure, but he told us to remember the name, and I know that has to mean something. We are given the names of the Blackbeard crew members. We have the champion, Jesus Burgess, the captain, Marshall D. Teach, Supersonic, Van Auger, and the Reaper, Don Q. Shortly after their introduction, we learn that the bounty for Luffy and Zoro has increased, which gets the attention of the Blackbeard Pirates. Now, the crazy part about this is that Luffy and the pirates are preparing to head to Sky Island. Yes, I said it, Sky Island, an island in the sky, by having their boat repaired by these monkeys and this sailor that they met who prepared their boat for them. And now they're in the midst of a whirlpool which is going to spiral them into the sky via something called a knockup stream. And the Blackbeard Pirates are trying to see if they can capture them before they head off. So you talk about cramming some juicy, problematic storylines together, One Piece has it down packed. Now, as crazy as the idea of a Sky Island sounded, this has turned out to be one of my favorite arcs so far. The way that they put the artwork into the knockup stream itself, the way that it exploded through and destroyed the Blackbeard Pirates boat, just really showed you the velocity and strength behind it. They had to have their boat, strengthened for durability. They had wings put on the outside of it because, as you can see, as they continue to go up the knockup stream, eventually it gets to a point where the boat will literally fall off, and they have to utilize the wings, which I thought was also just great storyline building and just genius, in regards to things of detail and everything that would need to go into a boat sailing into the sky, which, honestly, I just didn't even comprehend or see it coming. These type of pleasant surprises are exactly why I watch anime. So now Luffy and the gang have made it successfully to Sky Island, and when it comes to Sky Island, there is quite a bit of information to process. So Sky Island within itself has a different texture of sea. Everything floats on clouds. There are also levels. There's 3 different levels. And what we're seeing here is when they finally reach the upper yard, which is really where the action starts to happen. This is a rare place in Sky Island, where trees and land exist, when usually that wouldn't be the case, everything would be surrounded by clouds. Now, because Sky Island is a different place with so many different rules, when Luffy and the pirates get there, they break a bunch of them immediately without even knowing. We're talking basic actions, break laws, and it gets them into trouble where now, once they get to Upper Island, they have to fight these priests. There are four of them, and the one that you're seeing here in action name is Satori. He is the first priest that they run into, and he is responsible for the ball ordeal. Each priest has an ordeal which they use to punish lawbreakers. And with his, he has a bunch of balls, and in each one, there's no telling what it does. It might explode, it might have a snake inside. It's like playing Russian roulette. The four priests work for a god by the name of Inru, who we haven't met yet, but he seems to be extremely powerful. If you go against anything that he puts in place, there's this huge void of energy that comes down and just leaves a huge hole wherever it hits. And there's no telling what happens to the person that gets hit by it. I'm not sure if they're transported somewhere or they're just destroyed on impact, but it doesn't seem like something you want to have to deal with. We are introduced to a second priest who has an altercation with Chopper in a separate location. This priest's name is the Sky Rider Shura, and he's responsible for the string ordeal, which we learn later on. He quickly puts a pounding on Chopper, and it was evident that Chopper was outclassed. He has the ability to pierce things with his Lancer, and whatever he pierces, it automatically sets on fire. He even rides a fire-breathing bird. I mean, he's just a hothead all around. Both priests that were introduced so far have the ability to read minds or predict movements. I'm not sure where this power comes from or what the power source is behind it just yet, but the word mantra is the only information that we've been given so far about it. Shortly after arriving to Sky Island, Luffy and the crew were saved from having their boat exploded via bazooka by someone they referred to as the Sky Knight. His name is Ganfall. He comes in crucial and saves Chopper and the boat later on in the series when the Skyrider Shura comes and tries to take Chopper out. Ganfall to me reminds me of Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. I'm not sure if there's some reference there, but to me he's very similar in that he's very stoic, he's very powerful, like an all-knowing wizard type of guy. But he's a knight. But to me he has the same type of vibe, and he comes in and does surprise Shura with some of his attacks and some of his moves. But Shura shows some resilience, showing that the priests are a force to be reckoned with. Speaking of priests, as we return to the fight between Luffy, Satori, and Sanji, we can see that Satori has the upper hand here, really putting a licking on Luffy and Sanji and putting them in a bind with his out-of-the-box powers. Of course, we have Asapu there, but you know, Asapu doesn't have the same powers as everyone else, so I just, didn't mention him as much of a factor. But he is there as well, and he is helping them kind of find a way to get out of this and keeping Luffy from making deadly mistakes, which is crucial. We do need Asapu's logic, but overall, they are really having some trouble with the priests and their power set. And to me, it's the first time we've really seen them challenged since the fight with Crocodile. But wait, there's more. We're shortly introduced to the Gorillas. These are a team of rebels against Enru and the priest. They feel like they must all be eliminated. And some people fear the gorilla leader as being even worse than Enru. So he must be fierce. We haven't really seen what he can do yet, outside of him trying to blow up Luffy and them's boat when they first got to Sky Island, but we'll just chalk that up to a slight misunderstanding. So we do get to return to Ganfall in his fight against Shura, and do see that Shura, as I said earlier, is resilient and does eventually get the upper hand, piercing Ganfall right through his chest. Ooh, with that fiery lance. Ouch, you know that's got to be painful. And Ganfall gets to take him a soothing bath in the river right on afterwards. Unfortunately, this does put Chopper in a bind and forces him to make a rash decision just out of sheer grief, where he decides to jump into the water. And for Chopper, we all know he also has devil fruit. Devil fruit and water do not mix, they literally cannot swim. So things are just dire all around in that situation. We also reach a climax in the fight between Satori, Luffy, Sanji, and Usopp, where finally our boys get the upper hand. And sometimes when fighting in a crazy, mysterious fight against somebody with mysterious powers, a little luck is all you need. And as you can see here, Luffy just kind of rips his rope, which seems to be his secret weapon, to how he controls his dragon and his, big to do of how he was going to finish them off, and ends up being able to turn the tables on him, which brings me to where I am now in the series, which is episode 167. And I know you have all been waiting patiently for my update, and there it is. Now, from the perspective of a fan, I still am not really sure what the point is of Luffy and the pirates going to Sky Island, as it seems not relevant at all to the pursuit of the One Piece, which is the main point of the entire series. They actually had an option to go to an island, let the log post reset, which would have sent them to the next island on the mission, and they chose not to and decided to come to Sky Island, of course, for adventure. And now they're in a heap of trouble where they have to fight priests and do all these things, which is great for story building. Just wondering as a fan how this is all going to tie in. My pursuit for episode 200 continues. Comment below when you think I will reach that mark. And until then, see you in the next video.